Joining me now is Dr. Andrew Snyder of Monash University. Dr. Snyder, I should also say, full disclosure, he is my brother. Dr. Snyder, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Jeff, it's always a pleasure to be on your show.
It's great to see you as always. As I think the audience knows, and of course, you and I know we're not in the same locale. I'm in Charlotte, you're in Boston, and you're doing Boston and biotech things, but it's always good to connect. Okay, Andy, I want to ask you about biotech. Last two times we had you on the program, I think things were flat in terms of interest and funding, but I think things have kind of shaken loose. There's a bit of a biotech recovery.
You know, I'm not going to say the word recovery, but I will say there's
Okay,
a lot
no
of
R
deals
word, no
happening.
R word. That's fine. Go ahead.
There's a lot of deals taking place in our ecosystem right now. We see uptick in initial public offerings. There's some really notable examples where I am in the Boston area. We see uptick in M&A where companies like Eli Lilly are going on a shopping spree with their cash in hand and retooling their pipelines with assets along the way. We see the XBI index, which is a sector spider ETF that tracks the larger biotech indices as doing performing really well. And so there is this uptick in activity. Alas, it's kind of a world where there are haves and have-nots.
Okay, so are there particular segments of that market? So biotech is a very broad term that refers to a lot
Mhm.
of different things. You mentioned Eli Lilly, you talked about some M&A things and IPOs. What's moving in terms of the sectors within biotech?
Well, I'll just say, look, if you have a clinical stage asset, right, and it's showing promise in a sizable indication, that's obviously going to be on the radar for large pharma as they retool their pipelines and try to fend off the risk of patent cliffs. Okay, so that's number one is clinical stage. As far as sector, we know cell and gene therapy has run into somewhat of a downturn, but there are exceptions to that as well. And so I don't know that there's a hard and fast rule that I can think of as far as one sector over another. We know oncology, rare disease, diabetes, metabolic disease, those are doing pretty well right now.
All right, as a follow-up to that, let's talk about AI. You can't go anywhere without reading, seeing, or hearing about artificial intelligence. I've been reading a little bit on biotech. Certainly, I'm not an expert like you are, but AI is being deployed to read through thousands, millions of lines of data in order to identify disease, but also probably to help out with some of these clinical trials you're talking about.
It's pervasive in our industry, and that's a good thing. If we can do things faster, if we can read out data faster, that's great. If we can synthesize things faster, that's great. Are the next set of ideas going to come from AI? I don't know. That's controversial. Is it going to help us speed things up? Absolutely. It's going to speed certain parts of the process up. Its impact in our industry isn't known yet, of course, because we're just now deploying the tools. The hope is that number one, it can help us synthesize data sets together to find new targets and new ways to attack disease. That we can get to the point where there are fewer failures in our pipelines and ultimately save money for all of us.
Save money and save people's lives. Let me ask you, I had reached out to you when the president signed an executive order about psychedelic research. I think that was more tailored towards PTSD and mental
Yep.
health. How do you translate that into the broader biotech sector? Clearly, the executive orders was focused on these so-called psychedelics and PTSD, but I have to think that based on your first comment, things are really opening up in terms of research and potentially government funding.
I'm not sure about the government funding right now. I would say, look, I think the R&D we do pays off. You heard recently about a new drug from Revolution Medicines that has an impact on pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
It has such an impact that now it's being discussed that they will be able to do a kind of a right to try, or one of these things where this open access policy where they can sort of give this away to patients with a high degree of unmet need. This is very good when things like this happen.
And what about the expansion? I don't want to get into pharma policy because I think that's not really your area, but there's Medicare and drug pricing that's going on, more favored nation, most favored nation drug pricing. I have to think that that creates more opportunity as well for some of these larger pharma companies. You mentioned some of these patent cliffs, but being able to offer most favored nation pricing and under the Medicare, this new Medicare plan, I think it's called Trump RX, that could also creates opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, to be honest, that's a little bit out of my lane. Those are areas of policy that I don't have a great deal of knowledge. I can only speculate that, look, the United States pays for these drugs at full price. Most of the rest of the world doesn't pay the same rate. And so this changes the dynamic, and things are going to have to change in the future in order to make this a sustainable path.
So you mentioned kind of maybe you didn't use the R word, but I will, maybe a potential recovery, the deployment of AI that will help speed up hopefully help speed up the drug process, the drug creation process. What are you looking for, or what do you look at in the next 6 to 12 months? What's on your radar screen? What are you
Yeah.
thinking about as you're talking to partners, clients, et
Yeah.
cetera?
This is a great question. I spoke to an investor this morning here in the Boston area. They're a early stage venture studio launching companies, and he told me he hadn't seeded a company from 2022 until now. That it was hard to seed companies. We need that to come back, right? We need to be active, people to be active in that ecosystem. There are good ideas that aren't getting funded. If you are buying the clinical stage companies, right, which is what's happening when the clinical value is real, and there's not going to be anything left to replenish the pipeline if we don't invest in the early stage. So I'm looking for, as those M&A and IPO returns come in, are we going to deploy those to early stage startups? And what is that going to look like in the next 6 to 24 months?
Yeah. So if someone's out there and they're looking for funding, what do you tell them in terms of how do you get the funding? Because you said that, as you said, there's people on the sidelines that got cash. The cash probably isn't earning a lot of money, Andy. It's probably sitting and earning at a modest interest rate in some money market account somewhere. So clearly, it's a wait and see. But what do you tell someone who's looking for the funding, looking for the money? How do you get over, so to speak, with these venture capitalists?
You've got to tell a differentiated story. You've got to tell the path to the clinic. You've got to check all of these boxes that are going to help them de-risk this, right? And it's just a case where you've got to find the right investor at the right time. So obviously you need to keep knocking on doors, but the story has to be differentiated. Why now? What problem are you solving? Why now? How fast can I get to those patients? When am I going to get that answer in people that this is going to work? I think that's what I'm hearing people are looking for with these early stage ventures. How soon can you get this into people safely and to test this hypothesis?
Yeah, really important. Well, look. I think every time you and I talk, the tree seems to be shaking some things loose. That's good. We want to unstick the market. That's good for everybody, especially those patients that need these vital drugs. Dr. Snyder, my brother, Andy, great to see you. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Jeff, it's always my pleasure. Thanks and see you soon.
Well, thanks for watching. And don't forget, we're back again tomorrow morning with another great expert and another great topic. You can tune in right here Monday through Sunday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse, for all the news in one place, delivered directly to your email box. Check it out at our website.